How are we doing, guys? I smiled. I managed to smile after that game. Right, let's start with the positives of the game. Neil Maupay did not score, and he missed a couple of sitters. Ben White also didn't score. That's it. That is it. Positives on the game. Oh, and it rained a bit, so the Brighton players got wet as they played. So that's a positive, and the Leeds players got wet as well. So that's the thing. That's the positive of the game. Any more we want to throw in? You want to throw in any more?
No. Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Right then, let's tuck in and talk about the several negatives from this game. And Maupay got wet as well. That's a positive too, isn't it? That's a positive. Look,
look, I've got a Leeds United pint glass. Isn't that
more
great?
positives? More positives.
Fantastic. It's got my name on it and everything. Look, if you look real clear. No, wait, where's the camera? It's got my name on.
Oh yeah.
Cracking.
Well, let's get into it anyway. Guys, of course, if you are Don level members, we will be opening up the lines for you to jump in. Going to open it up about 25 past. Not going to open up yet because I don't want loads of people waiting just for us just to rant. We will open it up about 20, 25 minutes past, but we will give you a warning when we're going to open up the lines anyway, guys. But please smash the like for us anyway. We'll try and get as many people in this as possible. Again, it's difficult to like anything, but yeah, it is. I said that I thought it's very difficult to like anything at this moment in time. But right then, the game. What happened to us today? To start off with, obviously when me and Chris were discussing the lineup, I think me and Chris are relatively happy with it, Phil, in terms of the lineup, in terms of considering, look, never happy when Calvin's missing, but in terms of the changes we tried to make, I wasn't too fussed with. But then when the actual game was being played on grass rather than paper, it wasn't great. It really wasn't great.
Were you happy to see Stuart Dallas at right mid to start?
Because he was at right wing back at first. I thought, that's not too bad.
That's still not okay, mate.
What, a right wing back? He's still not right when he's played there.
I said this last night. If we have to play a right wing back, the right wing back should be Ayling. That's
okay.
It.
Well,
there's nowhere else to go.
Look, I'm not going to disagree because we were absolutely. I can't even think of enough adjectives now to describe how bad we were. We were
bad.
We were just really bad. I mean, Phil, give us your initial analysis on the game then, mate. Your initial take on why it was Brighton 2, Leeds 0 today.
We didn't turn up. As simple as that. I think we've had two teams before today that have beat us twice this season. And West Ham, fair play, they are good. Wolves, it was a case of system and maybe good luck in that, Casillas, Traore smashed one from 30 yards, gone in off the back of Melier's head. But this is the first team that have beaten us twice this season where I'm just looking at them like, how? They're not a great team. I think they could. The worst thing is they could have scored 5 or 6 today. Yeah. They created chances. We created a couple, but Jesus Christ, like Patrick Bamford must be bored out of his mind after the last 5 games because we've given him nothing. Without Calvin Phillips, we already know we have nothing in terms of replacing him when he's gone. And today just highlights that even more. It's a massive priority for this club over the summer to get something in for whenever he's not here to be able to do something in his absence because he was massively missed today. I think as much as people might have been as surprised as me 6 months ago to hear this sentence, I think we missed Helder Costa today. I think we missed having a naturalised person on that wing.
On what basis, though? What would Helder Costa have changed today?
I mean, you asked me last night, do you think Rafinha would have been beneficial to us in the Man United game? Well, yeah, to an extent, of course he would. But I said to you last night, Rafinha missing in a game like this is far more important than it is against Brighton. And we missed him today. And then without having Rafinha there, maybe Helder Costa sort of ameliorates for that kind of absence. But when it comes to having no Rafinha, no Costa, I don't think Dallas should be playing on the right of whatever you call it, whatever this system was. I think it was a few different things at different times. But Stuart Dallas, for me, over the last 10 games has solidified his status as one of the best centre midfielders we have at the club at the moment. To move him out of that position was daft. I think Bielsa realised that at half-time, and then obviously brought Poveda on to go on the right to put Dallas back in the middle. And it didn't work. No matter what Bielsa did to try and combat what was going on, it never worked at any point today. I'm not going to sit here and criticise Bielsa. I'm not going to sit here and criticise the players. I think we've had a fantastic run. And as I said to you last night, for us to go and get into Europe, we would have to go unbeaten throughout the rest of the season. And I didn't see that happening. I thought today was a game that I went into confidently. I thought that the side that we were going to put out today was going to be vastly improved on what we put out against them the first time. And bar having Meslier in net over Casilla, I don't really think the side in general was better today. I think we've let ourselves down in what we've attempted to create, in the way we've defended. Alioski has had a fantastic run of games, and now I'm really intrigued to see what the player ratings are going to be for him in particular, because he's given away a penalty that is just absolutely bloody stupid. The individual errors were strewn all over the pitch today. We had Alioski just can't put his foot on a ball, goes out for a throw-in. Luke Ayling does the same on the other side. Passes, terrible. Cohesion, terrible. I don't want to sit here and criticise, but it wasn't good. There's very little else you can say to sort of combat that. It wasn't great at all.
I mean, as Phil mentions there, Chris, the first goal was ugly in terms of what Alioski was doing, but I'll be honest, I thought Pascal's was just as bad, if not worse, for the second. I mean, the fact how easily he got done by Welbeck, he caused the problem in the first place. I mean, at the end of the day, though, Brighton have had a lot of chances, but the difference in the game is still being two really uncharacteristic mistakes from us. We probably would have got a draw out of it had it not been for just literally giving Brighton 2 goals the way we did.
Yeah, just Phil's right. Maybe we didn't turn up. It was really difficult to watch. I thought in the first half, Tyler started the game one of the brighter, but as the game went on, mate, he seemed to almost slide backwards to how everyone else was performing. And second half, I thought he was absolutely pony. I'm not going to lie. And that's not me digging Tyler out, because I could say that about 10 other players on the pitch, to be honest with you. I agree that unbelievably Costa's potentially a miss today. Whether it changes the game, I'm not sure. He's a good enough player to change it on his own, but he might have done something a bit different. Who knows? It's all ifs and buts. But we said last night, and we've said it before, that there's no way a Bielsa team would ever finish on the beach. We looked on the beach today, mate.
Can I ask you a question, Chris?
Yeah, go for it, mate. Yeah.
You know, when we talk about missing Costa, do you think when it came to, we're talking about naturalised wingers and naturalised fullbacks, I thought there was an argument to put, I mean, I don't want to see Stuart Dallas at left back, don't get me wrong, I want to see him in centre mid, but I thought there was an argument to put Dallas at left back. We've seen Jack Harrison switch over to the right wing at times with Rafinha this season anyway. I thought there was an argument to invert wingers, put Harrison on the right, Alioski on the left wing rather than at left back, and put Dallas at left back. And I was a bit surprised that never happened at any stage.
Do you know what, mate? It's a really good shout. It's not one I've thought of, but yeah, I think that probably would have been a better option. I mean, we've praised Gianni the last few weeks, and I've said I hope he finishes the season how he's been performing. He was absolutely shocking today. What he's doing at that penalty, mate,
shocking.
Just leave him alone. He's getting closed down by 2 defenders. Just don't touch the bloke. Don't throw yourself at his legs like some kind of rabid dog.
The worst thing is the fact that if you're looking at it from, I know it's all happened very quick for Gianni, but what's the bigger danger? Letting Welbeck take the shot from that angle or conceding the penalty? I think you just got to accept Gianni's been done. He knows it's been done. You sometimes just got to let the shot go. Let it go and just hope Meslier bails him out. And I think Meslier, the odds are Meslier was going to bail him out, but he just gave him no chance, with the penalty. And then the second goal, again, I just don't know what Pascal's trying to do on the second goal.
The first rule of defending is you don't let that ball bounce.
No.
We were banging trouble as soon as that ball bounced.
Yeah.
And then trying to flick it over your head in your own box, behave. If it needs to get thumped into Rose Ed for a corner, do it. Don't flick it over your head. And then Welbeck prime Cruyff and then buries it in the bottom corner. I mean, making Danny Welbeck look a prime footballer again.
Yeah.
He tries to redeem his error, doesn't he? He tries to flick it over Robin Koch's head, and then he tries to steam into the tackle, Pascal, and he just, skips past him and he finishes it with his weak foot. But I don't know. It's illogical, though, isn't it, this Leeds team? It's illogical how we can go from taking 5 points out of three games against City, Liverpool, and, Man United, and obviously the points against Chelsea, the general form we're being in. And you can lose any game at this level. It's not the result that bothers me too much. 2-0 against Brighton, it can happen. You can lose 2-0 to any team at this level. It's not an embarrassing result. I actually genuinely don't think that.
A couple of things for me, mate. A couple of things for me is it's our worst performance since Bielsa came in, because at least in other games in the Championship that we've lost, or indeed in the Premier League, we've created something. We've created nothing today. And Matthias Klick is walking a dodgy line for me now. I think he's at risk of going in the summer. I'm not sure if he's done. I really are. Do we say, however old he's now, 31 or whatever, do we say it's time to get a bit of cash for him and get something else in there? Because he looks miles off it, mate. He looks absolutely miles off it.
I do think with Klick, and it's something that we've said for a long time, I think he's carrying an injury, which is why he hasn't started a game for a very long time. I was kind of surprised to see him starting a game, and I think we could say ifs and buts about whether Calvin starts and whether Costa starts, but if either of them two start, I'd be surprised to see him start the game. I genuinely would. I think it was a case of trying to look after him and protect him till the rest of the season's out. And
the one thing, there's people in the chat, mate, saying he's exhausted. We can't keep using the tired excuse. He's hardly played for the last month, so it's not tired.
I think he's carrying
it's not going to suddenly change itself, is it? It's not suddenly not going to be tired, is it?
It's not down to exhaustion. We heard, with Robin Koch. Robin Koch got injured on the first game of the season against Liverpool, didn't he? And then he played for months and months and months, and then after a few months, this injury we have no idea about, we all of a sudden got told, right, he's off for surgery, he's out for 3 months. But he actually sustained this injury 3 months ago on the first game of the season. I've said for a while now, I think this is the kind of thing you don't put off with Matthias Klick, because it's a very similar injury, from what I understand, to the one that Adam Forshaw picked up in the first place. And Forshaw's been out for 2 years now and came back a few weeks ago, and he's now injured again. I think with Matthias Klick, just take him out the squad, get him off for surgery now. And I think if you would have taken him out the squad, got him the surgery he needed when he needed it, he'd be able to look at the Euros and think, right, I'll be back for that. I think we fucked his chances for that now. There's no way that he's going to be able to go off, have this surgery now, be fit enough for the Euros. So he's just going to keep playing. He's just going to keep getting injections, just going to keep going. And we're going to keep seeing what, as unfortunately for me, is a shadow of the former player that we've seen for years. And I think that doesn't do Matthias Klick the justice that he deserves. And I'm really reluctant from this performance to be able to sort of pin any individual down and sort of cast a judgment long-term or in the medium term on any of these players, because
I totally disagree with that, Phil, to be honest, in terms of there's some players in that team now where I think Klick is a bit different in the sense that, well, it is very different, because you look at what Klick's done over the last 2.5 years before kind of like 2021. It's been 2.5 years, a fantastic performance.
So who are you?
7, 8 out of 10 each week.
Who are you wanting to dig out so bad after today's game, after last week when we've been unbeaten in 6, that you're going to change your opinion over one game?
This is the thing, though. For me, there's players in this team, just because what we've done on the pitch has been fantastic. There's no doubt about that. Over the last 3 years, the way this team's progressed from 3 years ago, we had Paul Heckenbottom in charge, and we were on our way to Myanmar, for a pre-season tournament that was controversial. Yeah. We had Heckenbottom in charge. The club had never been lower at that point in terms of since the League One days. It was a real low point for the club. The signings had been terrible. Everything was looking bad. Everything was bad about the club. The only likeable player in the team was Pablo Hernandez at the time. It was it at that point. We've come now. We'd lost the game 2-0 in the Premier League. We're still in the top half of the table, and we're frustrated. Yeah. I get all that. I'm totally for that. And it's not the result that bothers me too much. But there are players in this team along the way. You can't tell me that Costa, Roberts, I suppose there's a couple of other players as well you can even throw in there, even like Sepulveda. I think the big thing to say is, yes, they're not starters in this team. I get that.
No.
But when you look at the depth of this team, would you look at Costa or Poveda and confidently say that when Rafinha's out the team, they can step into his shoes? I wouldn't do. I've not seen any sign of it. Poveda is young.
I think it's incredibly harsh to say a bad word against Helder Costa today, bearing in mind.
No. But
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I'm just talking in general now about the depth of the team.
Because he's been part of a squad that's gone 6 games unbeaten against 4 of the top 6.
Yeah, but how many games did he play in that, Phil?
He wasn't playing today. He wasn't playing today.
In the 6 unbeaten, how many has he played? How many of those games have they actually played in those 6 unbeaten?
He hasn't played today. Today is not the day.
Would he have changed that game today? I'm talking about the depth now. I'm talking about the depth in general.
I don't think Rafinha changes the Man United game, to be honest. So I honestly don't know. But you can't go casting
realistically, right? Based on what we've seen off Costa, I'm just talking Costa, Roberts, Poveda. I'm just looking at them and thinking the depth needs work. I'm not necessarily saying get rid of those players. The depth definitely needs work. But I'm just saying why it needs work. Because you see a game like today, we've lost Calvin and Rafinha to injury. We didn't have anyone there to step up.
Right.
No, I think the crucial point of what needed to be replaced today, which we all know is a priority for next season, is something that stops us from being this crap when Calvin Phillips isn't in the team. That is the biggest priority to come out of today for me.
Do you know what? For me, it is part of the problem. 100%. Calvin out the team leaves a big hole, but
huge.
It's that whole midfield area that needs work. So in front of Calvin as well. They were just steering a shit through the middle of us at times today. And I think if I'm looking at it non-emotionally and almost as not a Leeds fan, so looking at it from a point of view, you're potentially going, how does this team now go from mid-table, where we're going to finish 9th, 10th, something like that, into that top 6? And you're probably pointing at
Rodrigo.
For people to bring in, mate, but you've got to call it now. Rodrigo's had a poor first season. He's been in and out with injury and all the rest. Next season is massive for him. Massive at this club.
Very.
Click, there would be talk if I was an outsider looking in going, do you get rid?
Due to his age, I'd say.
Exactly. His age is a big one, mate. He's bought a lot of credit with the club, but because of his age and how he's been the last 6 months, is there a case of, do we cut ties? Tyler's...
I think Click's a squad player at the very least next season. Click is a fantastic squad player, which is...
The thing is, though, Phil,
that others don't.
With the squad player thing, the reason I'm looking at that now and having a couple of doubts, I'm having doubts, to be honest, around some of these players, whether they're good enough for this level. Because
what's our level, though? It depends what you call
the Premier League. If we're looking to kick on, the point is...
Well, at the moment, we're 9th in the Premier League. So...
But we're not 9th in the Premier League because of Tyler Roberts, Ian Poveda, Helder Costa. That's the point I'm making. Today, I think a lot of things happened today. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, not just in terms of our performance, but individuals. Luke Ayling today, how many times did he let the ball run across his body and out of play?
Yeah.
Even, I thought Robin Koch wasn't particularly good. Llorente, Pascal weren't particularly good today. I think the whole back 5 wasn't particularly great today. I think going forward, you're looking at Jack Harrison today, the Bamford, the players that have been excellent for us this season. They didn't perform today.
Jack Harrison's distribution into the box, his crossing today was absolutely dreadful.
I thought that was the biggest weakness of the entire team. If I'm honest, I thought. Weirdly enough, even though I've campaigned for him to go in the middle rather than on the wing, I thought the only person today that could whip across him was Dallas. I thought we saw Harrison every corner, shite. I thought Ayling's delivery, shite. I thought Click's delivery, when he came short for those corners, similar. Nobody could cross the ball today. I think we've got 2 players that can take a set piece. Calvin Phillips, Rafinha. They both were missing. We looked terrible. And it's not just set pieces, it's getting that ball into the box. And there was times where Koch could have got it in. There was times where Poveda could have got it in. Hernandez, very briefly off the bench, could have got it in. Nobody looked like they wanted to put that ball in the box. And it was a case of, I feel so sorry for Patrick Bamford in that He's not going to score a goal when nobody's going to give him.
Can Bamford do more though? Could Bamford do a little bit more than what he's doing? I think in the press today, he was completely anonymous.
Yeah, quite probably he could do more. But when it comes to creating chances for him, you can't. Yeah. We can't sit here and criticise him as a striker for not scoring a goal because no one's given him anything to go off.
But this is the thing I'm saying,
Joe's
Phil.
right there, Oscar.
In terms of
Joe's commented
let's have a look.
He said it was embarrassing when Dunk chested the ball back. We called it in the watch long, didn't we? The fact that a defender can take a volley, chest it back to his keeper, and be chilled about it summed the game up today. We were no threat at all, just none at all. The best chance we had was what? Harrison in the first half, and then Dallas with the long ranger in the second. That's about it.
That's it. That's all I can think of. Like I said, we had 7 shots, and I'm thinking, did we? Did we have 7 shots in that game? I must have missed it.
2 or 3. Harrison had a couple. Ayling had one block from about 30 yards, but none of them were what we normally create. It wasn't Leeds United football today. No. It was, and I think as much as it really pains me to say this because I've already got the Brighton fan at work texting me as we speak, and I'm trying to ignore him. This is the second time this season now where Graham Potter has worked us out. And I was saying last night, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer worked us out the first time, tried to stick to the same thing. We evolved and we made him look a bit silly last week because he didn't do anything. Graham Potter worked us out the first time. I kind of encouraged him to stick to his guns last night, and he did, and he still did it again. So I'm a little bit like, well, don't I look a tit now because I encouraged you to do it. You've done it, and then you've won again. In fact, more encouragingly than last time. We were terrible again.
Yeah, totally.
There's not many players. So looking at it solely as one performance and not credits bought or anything else. There's only a couple of players on that pitch today I can forgive anything. One is Bamford. Yeah, potentially is a question. Could he press harder? But your striker's there to get your goals, and he's not getting any service at all. No,
not
Melier didn't do anything wrong. He didn't have much to do, to be fair, because their shooting was poor most of the time. And maybe Dallas. I don't think Dallas did much. He didn't do anything great, but he didn't really do anything wrong.
Nobody did anything great, though.
No, but the rest of them,
guys, the links are open. The links are open, guys. So you do want to jump on any Don level members. I think Ethan has just turned up. But there's one more thing I'm just going to say is that in terms of what I'm saying about the depth, when Calvin and Rafinha are missing, our record isn't great. You saw it; they flash it up in terms of and that's my problem in terms of when you say about the depth. There's a massive drop off. When Rafinha, there's always going to be a drop off, but in terms of the distance between Rafinha and the other wingers, there's a big drop, and it's too big for me, Phil. It's too big for me now. I think we've got to look at it going forwards.
But just to put it in context, guys, we are a newly promoted side that are threatening to become the best newly promoted side in Premier League history. I am perfectly happy to sit here and say today was terrible. Today, as a collective, I'm not going to blame individuals. Today, as a collective performance, Marcelo Bielsa, I haven't heard the interview. I can see him on my screen at the minute. I haven't heard the interview. I'm sure he'll say something similar. As a collective today, we weren't good enough. We didn't do things we normally do so well together well enough. We weren't good enough. As simple as that.
Sorry, Phil. Sorry, mate. I just want to jump in quickly because there's been a few comments saying, relax, lads. It's just one performance. That's our job today is to reflect on this performance. We're not digging them out for the season. We've had a great season. Yeah. But looking at it as one performance, some of them need not digging out, but we've got to give constructive, let's call it constructive criticism.
Yes. I don't want to go as far as to say, Oscar's not here to defend himself now, which I'm going to hope that he's going to come back in time for me to finish this sentence. But when it comes to the depth and the depth not being good enough for next season, when you look at some of the players that started this game, Matthias Klick, for me, I wouldn't get rid of him. A player like Matthias Klick, I would be happy to see a player like Matthias Klick on the bench next season as opposed to Leeds fans don't kill me. Jamie Shackleton is a brilliant young player coming through our academy that's going to threaten to burst onto the scene as a first-team player. But long-term, that could be 2 or 3 years away. We've seen that with the likes of, Jack Clark, we managed to get 10 million quid for him. He wouldn't have been in this first team this season. Not a chance.
Nowhere near it.
We have plenty of players in this first team that if we recruit right this summer will look fantastic on our bench instead of the player. Niall Huggins, with the best will in the world, next season won't be starting Premier League games. He was on the bench today. I'm happy for him to be on the bench next season as long as he's on the bench alongside players like Mateusz Klich, players like, even if Jali Alioski stays, if Alioski's on the bench next season and Romain Perraud's at left back and Klich's on the bench next season and we've got Rodrigo de Paul, if this is what I mean about squad depth, like it's okay for us to sit here and look at the performance today and say individuals weren't good enough, but they are still Premier League quality. I don't want us to sit here and go, every individual today.
But on what basis, though, Phil? That's the only thing to say.
On the basis of where we are in the table this season.
Yeah, but Phil,
these players have played a massive part in getting us to ninth in the Premier League. Yes, they have.
Helder Costa, though, what? He's played a couple of games,
mate. 3 years.
What's he done for 16 million? What? Seriously, what's he done that's justified the value?
Helder Costa joined this club as a Championship club. He is now sat ninth in the Premier League. Don't get me wrong, 16 million quid. When you look at
Kiko Casilla is sat in the team ninth in the Premier League. He's not good enough to play for Leeds, is he?
Let's leave him aside. But Rafinha's 17 million quid. Helder Costa is 16 million quid. That isn't a fair measure. Rafinha's 10 times the player Costa is, and we all know it. But Costa joined our club at the beginning of last season. He got us promoted to the Premier League, whether he was the most important player or not. He has played his part this season, had some good games. He's had some not so good games. And today, of all days, is not the day to criticise Helder Costa because he wasn't playing.
Look, Poveda, whoever, any of those players who were just on the bench kind of thing, bench players, I just look at it and say, it's all well and good saying the ninth in the Premier League, but if Rafinha or Bielsa weren't at this club, or Phillips and that lot, do you really think these players would be ninth in the Premier League without them?
You've got 1 point there where I agree with you. If Bielsa wasn't at this club, Helder Costa, I'd be all for it. But Bielsa is at this club. And Bielsa can get more out of Helder Costa than I can get out of any single person.
Let's stop talking about Costa. I mean, Costa. All right, let's talk about Poveda, Roberts,
them,
Klich.
I thoroughly believe Marcelo Bielsa can get Lionel Messi performances out of Jack Harrison at times because I've seen it with my own eyes. I have seen players that I thought were League One quality. When we got promoted to the Premier League, I said Stuart Dallas is a bench Championship player at best. And Stuart Dallas goes and scores 2 at the Etihad and we win with 10 men. I believe Marcelo Bielsa can get the absolute maximum out of every single player in this squad. So I'm not going to sit and criticise any player or the manager ever.
Yeah, and sorry, mate. Just Sam, no one's being fickle as a fan here, mate. We're talking about how this club progresses. If we sat with the same squad, best we finish next season is probably a bit lower than what we do now. You've got to constantly move forwards to be progressing. You can't sit still. So we're not digging people out here. We're talking about how Leeds United go from a great first season back to making sure that the next season is even better. It's not being fickle. It's about thinking about it logically with a football brain and just trying to see where we can improve. There are players here, like I agree with Phil on reflection. Klich on the bench next season is a good bench player. Right. As long as it's not because he's injured or tired and it's a Tyler coming in to replace him, it needs to be an RDP or someone of that quality. Then the squad all of a sudden looks a lot healthier. So, I get both your points. Genuinely, I do. I'm bang down the middle with you. There will be some clearing out in the summer. Who? I've no idea. But we need to clear a little bit out. Whether that's a few more of the fringe players going on loan, like a Shackleton. Does he go on loan for a season back into the Championship? Players like that to clear a bit of room, who knows? But we've got to look forward. And yes, we're reflecting on one bad game today, and it doesn't reflect on the whole season, which has been superb. But we've got to be forward thinking for those going, you're being fickle and all the rest of it. It's not. We've loved what we've done this season, but we've got to look forward.
No, exactly. But guys, the lines are open if anyone wants to jump in. Ethan was here, but I think Ethan, I don't know. Come on, come back, Ethan. Come back. Just anyone who wants to have a chat. For Don level members, the lines are open, so please do jump in. But sorry, Phil.
There's no getting away from today. Today was terrible. I'm not trying to defend the individuals or even Bielsa from today's performance. What I've seen from 90 minutes today and over 180 minutes against Brighton in general this season has been terrible. Maybe that's a case that Graham Potter, despite him being the last person I actually saw at Ellen Road when we beat Swansea 2-0, 2-1, I think it was actually on the night. But despite that, maybe he's got the knowing, maybe he knows what to do against us. I think he's the third manager to beat us twice this season. You know, West Ham are a better team than us. Pains me to say it. They're going to finish a lot higher than us, so I feel like I can say that. Wolves have beaten us twice this season. I would argue they got lucky at least once. But Brighton have beaten us twice this season now, and I did a bit of goading, which I'm happy to still stand by. They said they didn't want to sell Ben White to a rival club. I still don't think we're a rival club. You beat us twice. We're still 10 points ahead of you. So Brighton fans watching, enjoy being smug about beating us twice while still being in a relegation battle that we're not. As far as I'm concerned, they beat us twice. They shouldn't do. This is something Bielsa needs to remedy next season.
But we are going to welcome a caller. Ethan is joining us again as Ethan never lets us down. Ethan, I mean, any positives, mate? Any positives?
No.
Okay, that was easy. That was easy. That
Right
was,
in there. Well done.
I mean, I don't even know where to even start with the game itself. I mean,
Me too.
It's impossible, isn't it, mate?
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, I don't know if you've listened to me and Phil debating. I mean, which kind of side do you see it from? Do you think the depth needs big improvement, or you kind of with Phil in terms of that?
Yeah.
We can trust the likes of Poveda, Roberts, and Costa to step up in when we need them to.
No.
Okay. I mean,
Fair.
if there's, what position would you say is the biggest priority right now in terms of depth wise?
Aneka?
Yeah.
Striker, yeah.
No, Aneka.
Left back.
Yeah.
Left back. It's It was big today, wasn't it? It was like the left back situation. Jarny was just.
He was
Jarny. He was shocking, wasn't he, Ethan, today? Absolutely shocking. Do you think it was a penalty?
Yeah.
There's just no way around it. It's a penalty. It's just I can't even defend Johnny because it's just like not a penalty, is it? There's just no way you can get around that at all. But I mean, the likes of Click, Roberts, Costa. Would you consider moving them on in the summer, or do you think we need to give them more time yet?
Nagy.
Bit more time, or
Yeah.
But I'd probably agree with that. I just think the actual other players, we need some other depth on the pitch. Still don't look at them and think if Rafinha gets injured next season, I want someone else stepping into his shoes.
You're allowed to have depth and not flog everyone.
That wasn't what I was saying. Though.
I'm just making sure you're all right with that. Like we are allowed to buy 3 players, namely Perraud at left back, DePaul, and someone ideally Samare.
There's a case.
We can buy 3 players and not sell Helder Costa, not sell Tyler Roberts, and not sell even Alioski. We don't need to get rid of these players to have.
There's a case we don't sell anyone. There's a case that Gianni's going on a free end of contract.
Pablo is going.
Pablo is going.
Maybe Berardi.
And then there's a question around players like Poveda. Do you loan them for a season? Again, he's another one who you can loan. If you're keeping Costa and you're bringing another winger, which it's rumouring like we're bringing in another winger, then maybe you do farm him out for 6 months. And that's not digging Poveda out. Just gets him game time. You get Shaq's out on loan potentially. And then your bench is Click, Roberts, Costa, and it looks a bit stronger. So, we don't necessarily have to sell anyone, but there needs to be a bit of...
under-23s have just promoted, though. And when I look at the under-23s playing in a new division next year against the likes of Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, their academies, when I look at the players like Jamie Shackleton, who hasn't actually played a hell of a lot of under-23s football for the last 2 or 3 seasons, but at the same time hasn't been getting the minutes in the first team. Tyler Roberts, Jamie Shackleton, Jan Poveda, they are all still eligible to play for the under-23s. They can get their minutes at this club. They don't need to go out on loan.
No, it's true. It is true. But the reason I bring these things up, though, in terms of like the depth and that lot is, I still look at it and think, our midfield, Pablo's not really an option now. Pablo's 35. Yeah. He's gone next season. Our midfield are all still pretty much the same type of midfielder. It says, other than Calvin's the only specialist CDM we have. So when you're going beyond Calvin, you're looking at Mateus Click, you're looking at Tyler Roberts, you're looking at Stuart Dallas, you're looking at potentially Adam Forshaw, although realistically Adam Forshaw isn't going to be available. But they all are still the same player, Phil. They're not players that are going to get you 10 assists a season. They're not going to change a game on their own in that sense. Maybe Click in top form can do that, but we haven't got that number 10 who can step up.
We need that.
To an extent, Dallas has done a hell of a lot of that. He scored 7 goals and he's got a hell of a lot of assists as well. I'd hold out Dallas from that argument, but the rest he can have that, yeah.
But Dallas isn't a number 10 though. That's what I mean in terms of.
No, but he's a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, mate. He does everything.
A lot of Dallas's goals, when Dallas, in terms of attacking the box and just general play, is probably the one player just behind Phillips and Rafinha for me in terms of influence. He is probably our 3rd best player in this team for me right now.
Yeah.
You possibly argue Rente, you could possibly argue other players, but for me, Dallas is well up there.
You can't argue Rente today,
yeah,
mate.
But hang on a second, Phil. You were having a go at me a minute ago because I was basing it on today. So, calm down a bit. That's messing. But no, you look at it and you say, they're all too similar, aren't they? The CDMs in this team. They are all too similar.
Yeah, we've got a lot of similar players in similar roles, to be honest. I mean, without wanting to lean too much towards one individual who is Argentinian, plays in Serie A, we talk about him every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
There is one person that Victor Orta, I will see you on Thursday, pal. I will be trying my best not to fall over myself when I handle your Corona this week. But when it comes to this one individual, he helps and sorts out the problem in this first team. Rodrigo de Paul is a solution to the problems that we have. If it's not, I know Phil Hayes said it's not going to be RDP. If it's not going to be him, it better be someone very bloody similar because he's the solution to the problems that we have. And as much as we're all resigned to the fact that Pablo Hernandez is leaving, take 2 years off Pablo Hernandez's age, we'd all be sat here furious about the idea of him going. It's as simple as that. We need a player like Pablo Hernandez. We have got Rodrigo, who hasn't, for whatever reason, this season, and Chris is right, next season is a massive season for him. Rodrigo this season hasn't done what we expected from a £27 million signing. Whether that's because he wants to play up front or he's being played out of position, who knows? Tyler Roberts is doing the best that he possibly can for a player that is also trying to be a number 9, being played as a weird form of 8. That number 10 point at this moment in time, we don't have one. It's as simple as that. We've got Mateus Click, who's an 8 that's injured. We've got Forshaw, who's either a 4, a 6, or an 8, but he's been injured for 2 years. We don't have someone that can play. Like, if we, don't get me wrong, Phil Foden's not going to happen. If we have Phil Foden in this side, we're not finishing 9th. We need a proper number 10, a proper person that can play as the attacking 8 and do it properly, consistently, and we don't have one.
No, we're going home.
You're muted, Oscar, mate.
Yeah, you are.
You look glorious all the same.
But that's what Roberts is supposed to be, though, isn't it?
No, I don't believe Roberts is. Roberts wants to be a striker.
10. Yeah, I know he wants to be, but when he plays in midfield, he's playing the more advanced. He's always playing just ahead of Dallas in that kind of hybrid role, isn't he?
Yeah, but that's still not what he wants to be as a professional footballer. He wants to be a striker. So this is square pegs in round holes, and square pegs in round holes can get you to 9th in the Premier League, but it can't take you any further.
But that's what I was saying like 20 minutes ago when you were saying that you can't blame any of these players. I'm just making the point that I'm not sure. In terms of when we try and play certain players, in terms of Roberts, Costa, Paveda when he comes on, Click when he comes on.
I'm not sitting here saying
I'm not sure they're ready. I'm not sure they are at this level, if I'm being honest. So the older players, Paveda, Tyler, I'll give time, but Costa's 26 now. Clicks,
Costa
obviously
doesn't
over
have that
30.
time.
Yeah.
That's
Costa
the
doesn't have
problem
the
I've got.
time to become ready. Tyler Roberts, because of his age, has a certain amount of time to be ready and learn that the role that he wants to be isn't going to be his role, and this is something he has to perfect. Helder Costa won't be able to suddenly become a number 3 or a number 5. He's a right winger. That is it. This is it for him. So for me, even if Helder Costa's on the bench next season, and ideally this season he's on the bench, Rafinha starts. That's the way the first team lineup looks.
Yeah.
When Helder Costa plays, it's because Rafinha's not there. If Rafinha and Helder Costa aren't there, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still look at that winger situation and think, in isolation, I think Jack Harrison's best games are when Rafinha's on the pitch. I can't think of a game this season, other than just before Rafinha turned up at the club, where Jack Harrison's had a good game without Rafinha on the pitch. And I think the reason for that is Rafinha, when you're facing Leeds United, okay, today you're Brighton. You're looking at that team that started the game. Where are the threats out wide coming from in terms of people who can create stuff from out wide? It's Jack Harrison. Jack Harrison in terms of everyone that played. Dallas is on the right. Not today. No, but before the game started, Brighton's focus, they had to focus on one player in that team, Jack Harrison. They almost left the other side of the pitch free because it was Dallas, it was Ayling. Dallas is a natural right winger. And that's where it was kind of missing today. I don't think it would be much different if other players had been available, if we had tried something any different. I just simply think that without Rafinha on the pitch, we lack that little bit of just a moment out of nothing kind of thing. I think Harrison's chances come from the system. In terms of we create the overload out wide, he puts the ball into the box. I don't think he's someone who can take someone on 1v1, flash balls into the box, get shots off and create danger in that way. I don't think that's the type of player Jack Harrison is. I think he needs Rafinha to create the space on the other side of the pitch. That's my issue there in terms of saying that Costa could step in. I just think it weakens us on both sides when Rafinha's not on the pitch. I think there's such a big drop-off that we probably do need another winger at the club. I do believe that. We know how much, Ethan, that
you don't have to worry too much, Victor.
I know, exactly. We know how much Shorter loves a winger. I mean, Ethan, can you see a winger arriving?
Yeah.
I think as long as it can play on both sides, I'm perfectly happy for that. To be honest. But isn't that the point of depth, though, Phil? That if Rafinha is missing or Phillips is missing, that we've got someone in there who can do a job.
I don't know, mate. I honestly don't know. When it comes to our wingers, it depends on what you call Alioski, in all honesty, as daft as that might sound. If you were to say, right, in the summer we sign Romain Perraud, we have a left back, Gianni Alioski doesn't go to them or Napoli or wherever he's meant to be going, and he stays and he signs a new contract. If you have Jack Harrison and Gianni Alioski as your two left-wing options, and you have Rafinha and Helder Costa as your two right-wing options for next season, and you have a player like Jan Poveda on the bench, or whether he's in the under-23s or whatever he is, I would argue that the same way that we look at the centre-back options, in that we've got two reliable right-footed centre-halves on the right centre-back position, we have two left-footed centre-halves in the left centre-back position. I would argue in the wingers position, for what we are as a club and for what we are as a newly promoted side and what we're aiming to achieve, I think we can still achieve what we want to achieve next season with those four as our wingers, as long as we have reinforcements in the centre of the pitch.
I 100% agree, Phil. That's the gaping hole in this team at the minute, is that midfield area ahead of Calvin. Dallas was a massive miss today. I think moving him to the right hand side. Look, I'm no Marcelo Bielsa, but we missed him in the middle of that park today, and we need to fill that gap in front of Calvin in that 8-10, those 8-10 areas. We really do. It's the biggest weakness we've got as a side. So if we haven't got 100 million to spend, I'd be happy with those four wingers you've just mentioned. So Alioski stepping up, if we bring in a decent left back, and then we spend real money closing down that centre midfield with an RDP. If he costs 40 million, spend it.
Yeah, I think there's 3 signings we need. I think we need a left back. That is not up for debate. We need a general left back that plays left back every game of his bloody life. That's a priority.
Yeah.
And I think we need someone that plays as the more attacking of the two, or a natural number 10, because we don't have someone. We've got loads of midfielders that can hold back and watch someone else press on. So we don't have someone that can press forward as a midfielder. And then I think we need someone who, when Calvin Phillips isn't playing, can cover for Calvin Phillips. After that, I don't care what you spend your money on. Spend it on 16-year-olds for all I care. Get me a left back. Get me Rodrigo de Paul. Get me Samare. Happy. See you later.
I think the biggest priority is left back and centre midfield.
They
are their positions.
2 birds with 1 stone, and you get someone that can play 10 and 4. Miraculous.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we'll do though with any signing. That we always can. We never just play one position. There's no player in this team who plays just one position, other than Bamford, who can just play in just one position.
If we do go
as a 10 and a 4 is very difficult.
Yeah, of course it is.
But if we do go in for another winger, which, like we'd say, is always an option with Orta and everyone.
Yeah,
Rafa can play as a 10 as well. But I think we lose something there potentially.
Yeah.
But he can play as a 10.
Big time. We lose our best winger then.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. I'd rather bring in a proper 10 and keep Rafa out on the right, because that's where he's at his best. But he has played there in the past, I believe, for Rennes at times. So, but I wouldn't personally do it.
Played there for us at times in small periods. But
Everton away, he played there.
For most of the game.
Scored a screamer as well.
Yeah, we did something different on that day. But Ethan, thanks very much for jumping on, mate. Just before I let you go, though, mate, 'cause again, guys, the lines are open. We have got someone else in the just waiting on us there. But Ethan, just one more thing, mate. Say if Phillips and Rafinha are back for Tottenham, do you think we can win that game? Are you still confident we can win that game?
No.
Really? But even without Phillips and Rafinha?
Savage.
No.
Do you think there'd have made a difference today? Do you think we'd have lost today with Phillips and Rafinha in the team?
No.
I don't, honestly, I don't know what you two think, but, Chris and Phil, I agree with Ethan. I don't think we'd have lost that game with Phillips and Rafinha on the pitch. I think Rafinha, when we had that spell of dominance just for half time, where I think we were pinning them back a little bit, but not creating anything. I think that's where Rafinha thrives for us in those situations.
The thing is, mate, when you've got a Rafinha and a Calvin on the pitch, it raises everyone else's level as well. So we could sit here and say 2 different players in that team today don't really make a difference because everyone was dreadful. But a Calvin and a Rafinha drag everyone else up a level as well, potentially. So it's you never know. I mean, we're not balls of gristle, not crystal, but for me, they make a massive difference today, and we'd probably go and win it 2-1 or something, because Brighton would have still scored first.
Yeah.
I place more importance on one of those 2 players than the other, and I've said it for the last few weeks, and I will stick by it. I think without Rafinha in this team, we can get a 0-0 at Man United. I think without Calvin Phillips in this team, we lose that game. It's as simple as that. Calvin Phillips is the most important player we have in our squad. End of.
But I think, Phil, just to counteract that point, I think with Rafinha on the pitch, so in a game like today, we get it back to 1-1 before they go 2 up.
Yeah, quite possibly. But we've seen games where...
Does that not make him equal in importance, though?
No, I don't think so, because I think we've seen games where Rafinha hasn't played and Helder Costa's done a job. I've seen games where Calvin Phillips hasn't played and Pascal Struijk, or Robin Koch in this case, have been absolutely criticised to high heaven by everyone that's watched it. Nobody is sitting here criticising Helder Costa for how he played in Rafinha's absence against Man United last week, are we? We are all sat here today thinking we missed Calvin Phillips today. Yeah. We said that the last time we played Brighton. Yeah. For me, Rafinha is the best signing we've made in years.
Yeah.
But Calvin Phillips is the most important player in this squad.
I won't disagree.
We said it last week, mate, that this team and the way it operates, both with the ball and without the ball, is all around Calvin Phillips. Yeah. It's all around him. And at the minute, there isn't another player in this team who can do it to the same level. And that's not digging out a Pascal or a Robin Koch. They're not that type of player. They're not a Calvin Phillips. And we do need someone to come in there who can maybe not be as good, but we need a proper trained up CDM to sit there when Calvin's not fit or he's banned, because our whole operation works around him in transition with the ball going forward and transitioning back into defence. It's all around Calvin. He makes that move forward. Everyone else follows him in the press, etc., etc. It's all around him.
Oscar, can I ask you a question, mate?
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to CDMs, and I've said on this show last week, when it comes to CDMs, you can offer me N'Golo Kante. I love N'Golo Kante. I'd still take Phillips. If I offered you Rafinha or any other winger in this league, and I offered you Calvin Phillips or any other winger in this league, and you had to only choose one, you can swap anywhere you like, but you have to keep one and get rid of the other and swap someone in. Who do you keep?
I'm going to go...
You can't go Rafinha. You cannot.
But why not? Because
you can't. Because there's better wingers in this league by a mile. There is.
Phil, look at our goals when Rafinha's been out the team.
Right.
The lack of chances we're creating.
Yeah. Mahrez or Sterling over Rafinha, and then Fernandinho over Phillips. I would keep Calvin Phillips over Fernandinho.
Yeah, I've got to agree.
I would take Mahrez.
Phil, the reason I'm not going to agree on that is because I rate Llorente. I rate Pascal. I don't think it needs to be a choice.
Do with Calvin Phillips.
Yeah, but if we have Calvin Phillips missing, I still think we're relatively solid defensively. But when we have Rafinha missing, we're not doing anything. We're not creating.
I think the thing is with Calvin is
Calvin influences defensive and offensive.
Exactly. And
yes,
I think that's the thing, mate. It's not defensively. Now with Llorente and Cockfit, it's not defensively we massively suffer. It's that transition in and out of us having the ball that we suffer. And it's just, for me, I've got to agree. The one player I wouldn't want to lose out of this squad is Calvin. I think it's too big a hole to fill. And there's N'Golo Kante's 33, 34, Fernandinho's 35. I wouldn't be swapping them for Calvin. Whereas a Riyad Mahrez, I'd bite your hand off for a Riyad Mahrez.
Of course you would. Of course you would. You take Oscar. You love Raheem Sterling.
Phil, we're not going to get Raheem Sterling and Riyad Mahrez.
Yeah. No, but if you're players, there is no CDM in this league. I take
anyway. Just before, right? Ethan, thanks so much for coming on, mate. I'm going to let Michael come in. He has been waiting for about 5-10 minutes there. Ethan, thanks so much, mate. Cheers for coming in, man. We'll see you later anyway, mate.
Yeah.
We're just going to welcome in Michael as well. I mean, Michael, you've been listening. I mean,
I have.
Do you think Phil's been generous on our backup to Rafinha in terms of creating chances?
Yeah. I just think Calvin Phillips is the lock pin of the team. That's where it all comes through. So I wouldn't want to lose him. I think if Rafinha went in the summer, I think he is replaceable. I think if Phillips went in the summer, I don't think he's replaceable. Quick right there from Phil, he loves it.
No, look, I can definitely see the argument, but today, who we missed more today between Phillips and Rafinha, I'm still going to say Rafinha. Phil, we didn't create anything. We're playing the team 15th in the table. Mate, we created nothing. Rafinha is the player in this team who's going to create you a amount of magic. Right. How many times have we done it in this team?
Did you watch the Man City game, yeah?
We're not talking about Man City. We're not going to play teams in the top 6 every single week.
It's a sturdy point. Did you watch the Manchester City game, yes or no?
Yes.
Right, how did we win that Manchester City game? Counter-attacks, yeah? We won that game by counter-attacks. Who was the one threading balls through to Rafinha from the edge of his own box? Time after time after time. Calvin Phillips.
Who is the one making the run?
Right, Helder Costa can make that run, mate. That's not impossible.
How often does Helder Costa do that?
To him is very
How often does he do it? Once every 10 games?
Right, well, look at who scored the winning goal, mate. That was Stewie Dallas. That has nothing to do with Rafinha. He made a shitload of runs and did nothing to contribute to the actual winning of the game. That came through the centre of the pitch.
Right. I'm getting absolute pelters today, but I don't really know why I'm getting pelters. I've said how much I like Calvin Phillips. I'm just saying how important Rafinha is as well. I'm saying you can't tell me that the drop-off from Rafinha to Costa is minimal, or Rafinha to Paveda, or any winger in this team.
No, if someone offers me 60 million quid for both of them this summer, I turn both of them down. But if I have a choice as to who I'm selling, I am not selling Calvin Phillips because he's integral to this team.
Yeah,
Rafinha, as much as I don't want to replace him, long term he's replaceable.
Yeah,
Calvin's not.
And I think if we're talking about how the ownership of the club see us operating over the next few years with the Leicester model, I think they also see Rafinha as an asset that's sellable maybe in another season. I'm not sure they'd look at Calvin the same.
No.
Look, I do not want to lose Calvin Phillips. I think it's more realistic in the next year or so. Rafinha, it's probably 10 times more likely Rafinha leaves the club than Calvin Phillips. I'm hoping so. Anyway, that's the case.
We understand that's your point on the selling side, but on the pitch, do you genuinely believe that Rafinha offers more to our style of play than Calvin Phillips does? Because I think that's wrong.
That question you've asked me, Phil, is like saying, if you're asking me between Dallas and Click, I can see what you're saying, but you're asking two totally different players.
Well, fine, I will
happily
contribute myself to an answer. I think Calvin Phillips is the most important player on the pitch of any of our players in this entire squad. Rafinha
I can see the argument. No,
there is no argument, mate. He is the most important player in a Bielsa system. Rafinha might be in the top 3, but Calvin Phillips is the most important player to our entire system. It's end of. That is not an argument.
The system or the team. That's what. Let me just go to. I'll go back onto that in a second, but I'll go to Michael. Michael, is there any positives from today?
No, I was just getting so frustrated by Tyler Roberts, and the quicker he goes out on loan, the better. He's had too many chances. I'm sorry, he isn't a Premier League player at this moment in time.
I mean, I'll be honest, Michael. I'm looking at a couple of players and saying that. I'll be honest. I'm looking at a couple of players and saying, I mean, me and Phil have had an argument today. We've had, I don't think it's an argument. I think it's a good debate. I think it's a good debate. I've really enjoyed our debate today. I've enjoyed our debate.
Oscar, based on today's performance, mate, should Llorente go out on loan as well? Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's the argument you're making. Let's judge everybody off today's performance.
I'm not being funny, Phil. There's been a bit of a difference between Llorente's performances in the last 9 games to Costa, Roberts, and
no, there isn't.
Another place.
There is
come on, Phil. Come on,
mate. Tyler Roberts for a period in the last 10 games has been fantastic. He genuinely has. Tyler Roberts has been great today. Helder Costa didn't even play today.
I'm talking about the depth in general. Paveda. Whoever I bring up.
Why are we taking out Tyler Roberts? Why are we taking out Helder Costa who didn't play?
Paveda done more when he came on than Tyler Roberts in the whole match.
I think that's pretty fair. But I don't think Paveda was great anyway, to be honest, Michael. I don't know what you think.
I don't know. I thought first 20 minutes, 20-25, Tyler was okay. I did. I really did. I said it on the watch along. I was like, he's doing things. He's trying things. Don't get me wrong. Second half, he was absolutely pony, as were 99% of them. But he was the one that I had a bit of hope about in the first. After they scored, I was like, Tyler's on it here. He's playing cheeky little balls in and around. He's trying to do stuff. Yeah. After that, after half time, he went missing completely, as most of them did. But. And everyone knows me. It's all right, me. People say, no, you've lost your marbles as well, Chris. I've been Tyler Roberts' biggest critic. I've had full-blown episodes on this channel about Tyler Roberts and that he should never wear the shirt again. So I'm probably the one who's going to call it as honest as possible about Tyler, because I could easily sit here and go, it's rubbish, get him out, had enough, he's had all. But he wasn't the worst today. That's not saying he was good, but he wasn't the worst. In a bad performance, he wasn't the worst performance.
What Vic Vinegar has said here is exactly what I'm saying today, right? Rafinha, in a game like that today, I will say this with my chest. Hang on, Chris is gone now as well. Rafinha, I don't know about you, Michael. In a game like today, I thought we missed more than Calvin. I genuinely thought, when you look at our lack of creativity, yes, I do see the point in terms of general ball progression, off the ball. We're always going to miss Calvin. There's no doubt about it. Calvin and Rafinha are the two staples of this team. They've got to be in for us to be at our best, for me, Michael. I don't know what you say to that.
Yeah, obviously going forward we were nothing, but I didn't think Bamford should have came off with an hour to go, half an hour to go.
I mean, do you think Bamford was particularly offering a threat today?
He wasn't good, but what did Tyler Roberts do, or the rest of the midfield do to help him? He can't do it all on his own the whole games, can he?
That's the problem, though, isn't it? I mean, do you think without Rafinha and Phillips on the pitch, just talking about both now, let's talk about both players rather than comparing them. Do you think it's a creativity problem without those two players on the pitch now, Michael?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
No, I think that's perfectly fair. But the point was, Phil, in terms of the actual direct end products, I still think you're looking at Rafinha in terms of more than anyone in this team in terms of stepping up. That was my point in terms of, don't get me wrong, against a top 6 team, yeah, you want Calvin in there all day long, looking after the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, Mo Salah.
Any team.
Exactly.
I think it contributes so heavily to our style of play defensively and offensively. It's Rafinha, the wingers. I'm not going to pinpoint one winger, whether it's Rafinha, Harrison, Costa, Poveda, Alioski, whoever plays on the wing, they have a part to play. But defensively, Calvin Phillips, or the person that plays in that role, plays a massive part of what happens to our team defensively. And they also play a massive part in what happens to our team moving forward as well. Whereas the wingers, they can defend, they're part of the pitch, but moving forward, they're important. Calvin Phillips is vitally important both there and there. Whereas the wingers here are important up there and not so much there, apart from being a body.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. I think obviously Calvin's got more to do in the team in terms of starting and stopping attacks, but I still feel in terms of Rafinha's the player who's going to win you the game. He's going to be the one that ultimately is the biggest difference maker in this team in terms of in the final third. The one who's ultimately
naturally
turn nil-nils into 1-0 wins.
Yeah, of course he will. He'll contribute more goal involvements than Calvin will, but we've seen plenty of times recently where Calvin's won the ball high up the pitch against, was it Everton or someone, where he won the ball high up the pitch, had a shot, and probably
Liverpool he did it against.
Should have scored. And he's had a few times recently where he started winning the ball really high up the pitch and creating goal-scoring opportunities. A year ago, I wouldn't have said was Calvin's forte. I said in our own half, he's a destroyer. He's added more to his game since the start of this season. Who has progressed more as an individual, Calvin Phillips or Rafinha? And despite how important they are in their individual role, I would still say Calvin Phillips is our most important player in every aspect.
I mean, I'm not going to argue massively about it, but I still, look, we're not going to agree on it. We're not going to agree on that at all. But I think in a game like that today, if you gave me a choice between the genie's out of the bottle, I can wish for one player to be on that pitch, Phillips or Rafinha. In today's game, I would have gone Rafinha. Is that outrageous, though, Phil? That's why we're being. Is it that outrageous to say that?
I don't think that's outrageous for a one-off game.
It's not outrageous. I just think you're wrong.
Fair enough. But
I don't think that's outrageous.
We've lost 2-0. We've lost the game 2-0, and I don't think with Calvin Phillips in the team we lose 2-0. If Rafinha's in the team and Calvin's not, do I see us winning the game? Well, no. I still think we concede 2 goals without Calvin Phillips.
Fair enough. Look, okay, we'll move on.
Vic, you've been told. Vic's just said, get moving on.
I just think I've enjoyed the debate. I've enjoyed the debate in terms of in that respect. But Michael, I mean, looking ahead now, obviously 4 games of the season to go. It looks like there's nothing really to play for. Just a case of finishing as high up the table as we can. I mean, are you just ticking this off now as a one-off bad day at the office for Leeds, or are you a bit concerned now moving forward?
I'm not concerned moving forward. I would like us to look at maybe the under 23s and see what they can do going forward next season. Obviously, Alioski, how many chances does he need? He's surely got to go. He's in and out of the team. Obviously, he's going to go Galatasaray, I think. It looks like that way. Obviously, that'll be like Victor Orta will be marking a left back. I don't know who it is. There's a couple of names being shouted out there. Middle of the park, that's an area of what I'm a bit worried about. Rodrigo hasn't really done it in middle of the park. Click's got a hip injury. So, yeah, they'll be thinking about next season, I would have thought.
I think, obviously, me and Phil disagreed on it, but I'd probably say we both need defensive midfield cover and creativity cover for me. We need backup for both Phillips and Rafinha. I don't think that game has just highlighted that massively to me. Massively. Robin Koch, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because he's played that position for Germany. Today, on the ball, he wasn't having that today for me on the ball. He gave the ball away too many times for me, Michael.
Yeah.
It's not at all. But I mean, looking ahead, obviously Tottenham. If we say we did have Phillips and Rafinha back in the team, would you still be confident of us winning that game next weekend?
Yeah. I reckon we could. Yeah, because they're not actually like flying at the moment, are they? They haven't got a new manager. They don't know. If Mourinho was there, I would say we'd lose that game. But with a chance, I think. No, he's not there. I think we could win.
Yeah, of course. I mean, how high do you think we can finish overall, Michael?
Prior to this match, I was thinking we had a chance of 7th. Okay. Optimistic Joe.
I know the band's gone as well. Joe's moved house. The band's disappeared. The band's just gone. I don't know where the band's gone. It's gone missing. It's gone missing, hasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, mate. That's the end of Europe now. We said yesterday that we needed to beat Brighton and beat Spurs to have any chance of moving into that 7th. So let's be thankful we've had a good season. We're going to finish mid-table, 9th, 10th, somewhere where we are now. And there's a lot to build on. It's been a fantastic return to the Premier League. Yes, we've had the odd performance. Today's been an absolute stinker of a performance. Looking over the season, we've been absolutely superb. We know, and we haven't got naive owners either, and executives and everyone else. They know we need to strengthen, and they've always talked about that. It's a plan. We brought in defenders last transfer window at the beginning of the season, and unluckily, 2 of them then were injured for the majority of the season. So we strengthened at the back. We'll then strengthen in midfield. We'll bring in a left back this time. And we'll go again. And next season, we'll probably be sniffing around 6th, 7th, fingers crossed, with a fair wind and not 3,000 injuries or whatever. And then we go again and again. And it's all a plan. And it's good to see a plan in place. We're not just winging it. We're not doing a Fulham when they came up last time, blew 130, 140 million pound and then sunk like a brick being thrown in the ocean. It's all a plan. So we've got to be... When we reflect, this has been a great season. Next season, we will strengthen and we will go again. And do you know what I mean? Marcelo's going to stay. I think we're all quite happy with that. He's debunked the 2-year contract thing, but he will stay next season. I think we can be quite positive on that one. And there we go. We go again. It is what it is. It's a bad day at the office today.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what it is at the end of the day. I still think 2 best players on the pitch, we get somewhere from that game.
Yeah, potentially, mate. Because like I said, it's not with Rafa and KP. It's not just about what they bring; it's what they make everyone else bring as well. So, absolutely, there's a shout there that with Rafa and KP on that pitch, we go and beat Brighton today. So, yeah, exactly. It's a case of gristle, not crystal, in it. We'll never know.
No, yeah, totally. It's well, I mean, Michael, is there any other takes from the game today? I mean, in terms of, you've obviously mentioned about Alioski was poor today. Was there anyone else who really you felt just weren't at the races today? I mean, you could say the whole team if you want, mate, because I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
Not like what was like really bad, but in general, the whole team wasn't great. Just the ones I've picked out were, I didn't think, pulled their weight type.
It was. As a team, they were just terrible, weren't they, today? Just as a team. But, I mean, okay. You can make 3 signings, 3 areas you can strengthen Leeds in. So, say, left back, centre mid, wings, strikers. In order for priority, in terms of depth for the starting 11, what's your top priority? You know, I know you're into your Football Manager, Michael. I know on your channel, you're now managing Leeds, okay? You're in Victor Orta's shoes now. You can only strengthen in 3 areas. We've only got the budget to strengthen in 3 areas. What 3 areas are you targeting in order of priority?
You were like reading my mind because I wanted to ask the question who I would want to put majority, like 75% of my money would be Rodrigo de Paul. Get him in, interlink with Rafinha, because I don't think the left back is going to cost much, because I think it's coming from France, maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to cost that much. But Rodrigo de Paul, I think, is one of the best assisted midfielders.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael, completely. I think we blow 60 to 75% of our budget on getting him in potentially, because he takes us to that next level, the level we want to go at. Like you say, a left back from the French league, because that league's on its backside financially, isn't going to cost us a lot of money. We are going to have to pay through the nose for a Rodrigo de Paul. We are talking £40 million. We are talking blowing our transfer. Do you know what, mate? Having seen that this is the real area that we lack that extra bit of quality now, for me, I would go a bit higher than that.
Just playing devil's advocate.
That might be though, Phil. Sorry, just before you make your point, that might be though, mate, my lack of knowledge around the European leagues and what else is out there that I'd say.
No, mate.
You know
I must admit, before I ask this question, I am fully in agreement with both of you. I would happily bargain at least 50% of our transfer budget this summer on Rodrigo de Paul. But just because I trust Victor Orta, Angus Kinnear, and Marcelo Bielsa as a trio of the people that are handling our transfer business, if we look at last summer, Ben White was quoted at 35 to 40 million quid. We looked at that and said, nah, not happening. If we are quoted from Udinese this summer, I say 40 million is where I draw the line. I don't think Rodrigo de Paul is worth more than 40 million quid. I think 35 million quid, I'd happily go and splurge. I think he's worth less. I think we should be able to get a player like that for 30 million quid. Maybe that's my opinion of the transfer market or not. But if they were to quote us daft money, would you, based on the decision with Ben White and getting Llorente and Koch for 30 million, whereas we could have got Ben White for 30 million, would you trust Victor Orta to go out and spend 40 million on 2 players that could do the same job?
I would, mate. Personally, I would. Yeah, I think we've got to trust him like that. I think you're always going to buy the odd stinker. You know what I mean? Not every transfer is ever going to work out at any football club. I mean, the greatest football clubs of all time have bought absolute stinkers who they thought were going to be world beaters. But going off, we were all decimated when it turned out that Ben White wasn't going to come. Brighton were basically pricing us out, and we brought in Llorente and Koch, who have been unfortunate with injury, but when they've been in, have been good.
We've had no complaints at centre half this season.
None at all, mate. So I won't be. We've all got RDP transfixed in our heads because it's been going on for so long. There's been the social media back and forth between him and the Leeds page and everything else and fans. Yeah. So we've all got him in our head. But if Udinese went, we want 50 million, I wouldn't blame Victor Orta for turning around and saying, do you know what, I'm going to go spend 40 million on 2 number 10, number 8 type players and crack on. That's what he's there to do, mate. Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly. But just one fantastic news from today. Fantastic news is that Phil Hay, the square ball, tweeted out at halftime. Surgery has gone well, which is absolutely fantastic to hear. Phil Hay, absolute legend of a man. That is the big positive news from today. Absolutely fantastic to hear that is the case. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic to hear. I mean, Michael, any other kind of general thoughts on the game? I mean, obviously, what's your thoughts on Bamford in general then, in terms of the sources of goals without Rafinha? Do you think there's enough?
What, without Rafinha?
Yeah.
How he struggles type thing. Obviously, we're reliant at the moment on Rafinha, aren't we?
Not according to Phil, though. We're fine without Rafinha.
To supply Bamford with goals as well, not to. I think it affects just by watching last few games. It affects Bamford scoring goals. What do you think, Phil?
This is one of them questions where I really wish that I had a statistical input to give you that I actually knew as a fact, but I'm gonna go off an assumption of a fact that I would argue that more of Bamford's goals come from Harrison assists this season than assists, and that I can't back that up with numbers yet. Between the two, I will try and find out, but I'm fairly confident that more Bamford goals this season have come from Harrison assists than Rafinha assists.
Yeah.
It's just the way I feel off the top of my head, but I may be wrong.
Yeah. Just thinking back on his previous goals, there has been quite a lot of crosses from Harrison. What has ended up from him scoring? Yeah.
Well, I know I'll try and quickly get it up on my phone while I'm talking, but I know I did the research into Harrison's assists last night because my missus was banging on about Alioski and how fabulous it is.
I hope she's hiding in a dark closet, a dark cupboard today, Phil.
Mate, this is the one time where she's not sat on that sofa listening in, smirking at me. She's taken the little one out for a walk. What a surprise. After 15 minutes, I was like, he's given away a penalty, and that's not even the worst thing he's done so far. And she was like, you're always badgering at him. Like, I'm not badgering at him. He's just not very good. I love him, but I wish he was better. And she's like, well, you're just jealous because I fancy him. I'm not jealous because you fancy him. It's just, it is annoying.
A bit, by the sound of it.
It is annoying. Like, we're engaged. She's pregnant with my kid, but she still never stops talking about Alioski and his stupid blonde hair. But yeah, anyway, moving swiftly on.
You sound a bit annoyed with him, Phil. You sound.
I'm slightly annoyed. But yeah, I've wasted enough time for me to find the statistics I was looking for. So that was the point in this. So just looking at assists this season, Harrison has 6, Rafinha has 6. I'm going to still feel fairly confident that Harrison has set up more goals.
But Rafinha's played a lot less minutes than Harrison. A lot less minutes.
I can confirm that for you very shortly too. Give me 2 seconds.
It will be a lot less minutes.
Harrison, he's played 400 minutes more. You can have that. Fair play.
Look, I'm just going to say, because I'm still getting absolutely hammered in the comments here. Right, before I'm getting hammered in the comments, the point is, Rafinha and Phillips are very, very important to this team. Okay, they're very, very important to this team. Just because I disagree with Phil in terms of who I think's more important does not mean I don't think Calvin's important. I think Calvin's incredibly important. He's been what we've built this whole team around. But I think in a game like that, a difference maker like Rafinha is like absolutely priceless in a game like that, especially when we're 1-0 down. And we did sort of have Brighton a little bit nervous for sort of 10 minutes just for half time. We didn't quite take the chances today. But Michael, obviously, it's hard not to look ahead because I think the only thing I want to do is look ahead. I don't want to look back at that game today. I really don't want to look back at that game today. I'll certainly be avoiding match of the day. But going forward, Michael, obviously we know Coops will be back in he'll be back available. He won't necessarily be back in, but he will be back available against Tottenham. Do you think he'll be back in, Michael? I mean, Phil's saying he'll be back in. Do you think so? After Pascal made the mistake for the second?
I think he just goes in because he's captain.
Yes.
Simple as, I think. I don't think next season he will. I just don't know what we're going to do with so many centre-backs. I reckon someone's going to have to sort of go type thing.
Berardi. Painfully.
Yeah, well, Berardi, well, again, he'd be like Pablo. He's not going to be here beyond.
Those four aren't leaving next season.
No. No, we've got...
The season after next, I could see a case for Cooper, based on his age alone, being the one that leaves. But until the end of next season, none of them four go.
It's because we've got 2 lefts and 2 rights,
as
in foots, who are more than capable at Premier League level now of being central defenders. So there's other areas to strengthen. So unless someone came in with an 80 million bid for Pascal or something, then none of them are going anywhere.
I hope that doesn't happen. But I think when the one that will eventually leave first, as much as, I mean, some people will be happy, some people will be sad, it probably will be Liam Cooper.
Beggar King Richard's absolutely loving that comment.
Yeah, he's loving his life right now, isn't he? But when Cooper leaves, we will seriously have to find someone extremely good as a left-sided centre-half to replace him that can either take that first-team role and lead Pascal, or someone that can back up Pascal, because Pascal's got a long way to go to be able for me to say, like, he doesn't need Liam Cooper behind him.
Do you reckon he'll be captain next season, Phil?
Cooper?
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Bearing in mind the players pick the captain, do you really think they're all going to go mutiny and go, fuck off, Cooper, see you later? Nah. No.
Even if Coop stayed beyond next season but wasn't playing regularly, he will still be the club captain.
Still be club captain, yeah.
Well, guys, before I guess we've done almost an hour and a half here on this one.
We've managed to not speak about Brighton at all, which I'm really pleased about. Thanks, guys.
But Michael, any last thoughts before I let you go, mate?
No, that's it, mate. Yeah, looking forward to finishing.
Quickly move on
on a high note, hopefully this season.
But well, I'll let you go, Michael. Thanks so much for jumping on again, mate. And do you want to say where we can find you on YouTube, mate?
No, I'm not using YouTube that much. I don't plug like some others.
Like who? Like who is that?
I don't say it's like some others.
Joe.
Not a clue.
No, I didn't say that.
Anyway, I'll let you go, Michael, mate.
Oscar.
Cheers for jumping on, mate.
Oscar, you're getting wrung out. You're getting wrung out for missing super chats, mate.
Let's have a look.
Joe wouldn't let this happen.
There you go. Vix is way up the line. Can we talk about your NT and his progress since coming back from injury? Tar very much, Lee. Love you all in it.
Vic, we can talk about him today if you like. I mean, I know I don't want to go head to head with her because I know exactly who she is, and I don't want to do that. But before today, she's right. She's 100% right. But today, there is no defending him. No.
Vic, I honestly can't see your super chat. I've genuinely been keeping it. I've been keeping an eye all the way through. I honestly can't see it. Let me just.
I think you were in full debate mode. Let's call it maybe at that point.
This channel misses Joe Wayman so much when he's not here.
Apologies, Vic. Apologies. Yeah, I mean, Llorente, he wasn't great today, but he's been superb. He's been a superb signing, Llorente. What is he laughing at, Phil? He's been a superb signing.
No, I'm just laughing at the comment she's put bitching mode, and I assume that's aimed at you, which I agree.
I was disagreeing with Phil. I agree with Phil on many things today.
But, disagreeing with me that you forget our beautiful viewers, and that's very important, Oscar. You're in charge here.
You're telling me. But yeah, look, Juventus, he still keeps his place. There's no risk of that. After today, there's no.
Oh, you don't
no
want
risk of
Robin
that at all.
next week when Cooper's back? No.
No.
Oh, okay. just checking.
Whenever said that, Phil.
Wait.
Whenever said do that recently.
You didn't have the commentary on, did you? Because you were doing the watch along. There was at least 2 times today where I pissed myself laughing. There was one where Peter Drury goes, I don't know who the first person was. Someone tried a clearance and it was blocked. And the second clearance, Cock cleared the ball and he was Cock out. And I was just like, oh my God, I wish Oscar would have just heard what you just said. He'd have just been so happy. And I think he also, later on in the game, I didn't hear it, but I saw it on Twitter. He said Cock blocked as well. And I was just like, that completes the set. Well done.
Well, that was something. I can't remember how many times Robin Koch actually did do anything successfully today. To be honest, it was probably one of his worst games for us as well. But everyone was bad today. Phil, can't hear you, man.
Sorry, I'm muting the microphone. Anyway, yeah, I got a Cock out and a Cock blocked, and I was just very happy from that. That's the only thing I took from today.
More positives from today anyway. But guys, I think we'll leave it there anyway. We're back with the player ratings. About 7 o'clock, guys. We'll be back with the player ratings. We'll whiz through that anyway. It'd be interesting what we're going to do on the player ratings because, yeah, that's going to be an interesting scale that we go on for the player ratings anyway. But guys, thanks so much for watching anyway. It has been an interesting one today. It's been an interesting one. Yeah, we'll leave it there anyway. It's another All East TV breakdown. Smash the like button, guys. Hit that breakdown. I had to try and lighten things up a little bit. I'm getting hammered in the comments here. And
You deserve it.
Why? Why do I deserve it? I've just given an opinion.
Mate, you can tell from both the discussions that we've had in here and the comments coming through today that Leeds have put in one of the most dreadful performances we've seen in recent years. There's a lot of disappointment and people just being a bit threadbare, I think, after what has been a great season, as we've said. But yeah, I think everyone's just a bit just done in. This half an hour before player ratings, everyone's just going to take a breath, I think.
I hope so, because I'm just getting absolutely just pelters here.
Be nice, people.
Dear me.
You've only had what I feel is fair so far from what I can see. Well, what's wrong?
Right, let's leave it there anyway. Let's leave it there, guys. Anyway, I was getting absolutely hammered here. I've just given an opinion. It's not my fault we've lost the game. I've not given away a penalty or tried to flick the ball over someone's head in my own box.
To be fair, Oscar did get blamed in the watch-along for giving the penalty away.
So there you go. There we go.
Oscar, you're terrible at playing left-back.
Lucy, get yourself on the gin, girl. Get yourself on the gin. Don't you worry about it. We all need a gin after today.
Guys, we will be back in half an hour anyway. And for any members, make sure you get your votes in on the player ratings poll. And yeah, we'll be back in half an hour. So keep it locked, guys. Smash the subscribe button. And we will leave it there anyway, guys. See you later.
You're going to press the right button?
Just about to, Phil, but you decided to jump across me as I pressed it. I thought, has Phil got something interesting to say? He looks like he's about to say something. No, he didn't.